Gayle Saunders here with Braxton Howard. You can find him on Twitter at Brackshot, at BRAQ Shot. Doing the damn thing on 4th and Jawn. Right now, our Philadelphia Eagles are 10-1. They're looking phenomenally well out there week to week. But you wrote an interesting article about who is best equipped to stop the Philadelphia Eagles. I know you started off with the Minnesota Vikings. Tell us a little bit about the Vikings and how you feel about them.
The Vikings, they got a great defense, and I think that their defense is the caliber to take them to a Super Bowl possibly. But the offense, right now they're hot, but I just don't trust them. I don't trust them with Case Keenum as their
Right.
guy. Their running game, I mean it's good right now. It ranks sixth in the league, but if they were to play the Eagles, we know that how that would go, and that would force Case Keenum to pass. And I don't think that they want to be put in a situation where Case Keenum has to win for them.
And I think, as Jim Schwartz would probably think, he's like, if you want to beat me, you're going to have to win with Case Keenum. I think us shutting down the run game is obviously a factor there. Um, and their defense is going to have to ball out. But, when we talk about well rounded football teams, I feel like we're definitely got the upper hand on that match. But any other words on the Vikings?
No, I think that Philadelphia can stop them, and but the other thing is the Eagles are going to have to beat them through the air
Right.
because the Vikings rank second in rush defense, second to the Eagles
Right.
in rush defense.
Be
So it would be close, but I mean it would depend on which team could get in the end zone, and I'm taking the Eagles every time.
Braxton has a threat detector of 7 on the Vikings. Moving down the line, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at 9-2. What is it you think about the Pittsburgh Steelers that could pose some threat to the Philadelphia Eagles?
Their offense, I mean, with Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Le'Veon Bell, they do a lot of good things on offense. Defensively, their pass defense is third in the
Mm-hmm.
league right now. They're doing good, but I believe Joe Hayden went down,
Yeah.
and they got a bunch of old guys back there, and the defense would be tested. I feel like this game would be more of a shootout,
Yeah.
and it would be tough. But the bottom line is the Steelers would have to get past the Patriots, get
In
to
order
the
to do that.
Super Bowl in order to play the Eagles. So they would have to do that first.
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember last season, a lot of people were shocked when our Eagles thrashed the Steelers at home. I felt like that was one of the first times I saw how relentless our defensive line was, and they were after Big Ben all game. So that was great to see. Le'Veon Bell didn't play that game, but our corners actually did a decent job with Antonio Brown that game. But I know you had a threat detector of 7 on the Steelers. Moving forward, a team in the Los Angeles Rams with a 8-3 record, a team that Braxton has previously penciled in an L. I don't know if that's changed. It's been, people change. People have
Hmm.
difference of opinions. So the Los Angeles Rams. How are we feeling about the Rams with our Eagles?
I still think that they unfortunately take an L, but
Okay.
in a later matchup, I'm taking the Eagles in the playoffs. So that's where I'm at right now. The Rams, they have a creative offense.
Yeah.
Their defense, their pass defense is good. Their run defense is not good at all.
Okay.
I forget what they rank in the league, but it is bottom half. It's below 15th in the league. So that game, you're gonna need Jay Ajayi and LeGarrette Blunt to gash them and then open up the pass for Carson Wentz.
I know we had spoke previously, and we were sharing some information that we gathered about McVay and how he was utilizing the like the he's calling audibles for um, Goff. I mean, what do you think about that and him running their offense?
I think it helps Goff out a lot.
Yeah,
Uh, Goff has played very well, but I think that the matchup would almost be like when the Cowboys played the Eagles, and it was more of Dak versus Wentz, just as much as it was the Eagles versus the Cowboys. I think that that matchup would be keyed in and who would play better, and I think that it shows that Goff isn't there yet.
yeah,
That McVay calls the audibles.
yeah. Viewers out there that haven't read the article, there's some articles out there on how uh, he basically lines up the Rams offense and a lot of motion, sending a lot of people in motion last second. So last second, he'll move somebody and then he'll call another play, and that's what they pretty much do. It's almost if they can get some tempo and get this defense tired out, that's one thing that would worry me. I know you have the threat detector of 7.5. Um, that's scaring me a little bit. I just booked my tickets to LA for this game. So moving forward, we have the New England Patriots with a 9-2 record. What is it about the Patriots that has you a little concerned?
Um, I mean, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, that offense, it's tough to stop. I mean, they do a bunch of different things, but their defense is like historically bad.
Right.
I mean, it's awful. I know they're second to last in the league against the pass, and I think they rank like 21st in the league against the run. I mean, it's been in shambles all year. The defense is getting better, but I mean, again, if you met the Patriots, it would be in the Super Bowl. Tom Brady's been there. Bill Belichick's been there.
Yeah, battle tested. So I mean, you're
Yeah,
basically essentially saying it's in shootout mode with Brady and a you know genius in Belichick. That would be the factor.
yeah.
I think it's like Schwartz would love like teams to dink and dunk, but a guy who excels in that is Brady. I think the one big huge factor for the Eagles is that interior pressure. And I always say it, but it's such a mismatch when you have guys like Jernigan and Cox in the middle, and Brady loves to. That's where he makes his money, right in that sweet spot where he doesn't have to get. If you get him off the spot, as you can see that when we went up to Foxborough when we beat the Patriots the first time, look at the Giants when they won those Super Bowls. They had that interior pressure, getting upfield, getting in his face. I feel like if we can do that and establish our offense like it's been running, I think we have a good shot. But threat detector of 8, Braxton has on the New England Patriots. Moving forward, the Atlanta Falcons, 7-4, but you have them up there as a big threat. What makes you concerned about the Atlanta Falcons?
They're catching momentum
Mm-hmm.
at the right time. They're more than likely going to make the playoffs. They went there last year.
Right.
They went to the Super Bowl last year. They're an experienced team. They got good wide receivers, not not just Julio. They got good wide receivers. They have good weapons
Sanu and
in
Gabriel.
Coleman and Foreman. They got great weapons, and I think Julio Jones is a mismatch nightmare. I just think, I mean, he's the only player in history to get 250 yards 3 times in a game.
Yeah. I mean, Julio Jones is an X factor. I feel like when Julio is when he's healthy, he can be dominant. He's a freak of nature on the football field. A guy that big shouldn't move the way he moves. or shouldn't be fat as fast as he is. He's got a catch radius of like it's ridiculous. Um, we were talking about uh, before we got on. We talked about his performance against the Eagles. He had 10 catches for 135 yards that day. Targeted 16 times by Matt Ryan. I felt like they did a good job bracketing him. They did. I think Gabriel slipped out for a touchdown that game, a big breaker there. But they did a phenomenal job against the Falcons' run game. Devontae Freeman only had 49 yards that day. But they have a new offensive coordinator. So, I believe it's Sarkisian, right? Over there.
Yeah.
And their pass rush, they showed a little pass rush versus the Dallas Cowboys when Claiborne racked up 6 sacks. So, yeah, on the other side of the ball, the Falcons have Beasley as well in the pass rush. So, um, threat detector of 8 Braxton has on the Atlanta Falcons. So, Braxton feels like they're getting hot. And, you don't want to play a team that's getting hot. But moving forward to your last team on the list, with a threat detector of a whopping 9, Braxton, it goes with the New Orleans Saints at 8-3. Tell us why the Saints are the biggest threat to you.
This game would be a shootout,
Mm-hmm.
and I would not want the Eagles to be in a shootout against an experienced quarterback, Drew Brees, who's been there before, and he arguably has probably more weapons than he's ever had. Maybe. I mean, what they do with Ingram and Kamara
Mm-hmm.
in the backfield, just they can run the football, but using Kamara in the pass game as well, you don't see that often in the NFL, not to the extent that they use it. And I think that, I mean, they can score points, but really it would come down to whose defense can make a stop first.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I would think that the Eagles could make that. But just in the playoffs,
Yeah. Battle tested.
meeting up against the Saints, experienced quarterback, experienced coach, creative offense. I think that they are probably the biggest threat to the Eagles.
Yeah, I like the points that you talk about Kamara. I think Kamara is like the rebirth of Darren Sproles in that Saints offense. You think about how that offense was rolling when it was hot. That was due to due to Sproles in the passing game. Ingram's been hot. I actually own Ingram and Kamara in fantasy, so I'm thoroughly eating. I own Drew Brees and Michael Thomas as well. So I've been really watching the Saints this year. Um, Everyone really was big up in their D, saying they're bringing some defense in New Orleans. Lattimore has been a nice pickup. He was drafted in the first round. I was pretty high on him. I think, like you said, he's a battle tested quarterback. If we were playing the Saints, it would be in the playoffs. I think that's why it's very imperative to get this home field advantage, to play at the link. You do not want to play the Saints at home in a dome. So it could be a different scenario. But I do like the Saints as I would maybe give them a 8.5. You have them at a 9. Going over your list, ironically, a team that's missing from your list, as this is the big threat list here. The Seattle Seahawks, who are 7-4. Our Eagles go up to face the Seattle Seahawks. No concern on your part.
I think that it'll probably be a close game Sunday, but looking ahead in the playoffs, if they were to match up, I think that without Richard Sherman and Cam Chancellor, that team is completely different because their offense runs through Russell Wilson. He accounts for north of 85% of
Yeah,
their overall production.
that's huge.
Yes, and they are also the most penalized team in the league. They are, and once you lose big pieces like Richard Sherman and Cam Chancellor, you can't recover. You can't replace those guys. So they are well coached, but I think that just pure talent will almost override that.
I like that. You're making a lot of sense. The one big difference maker for me is our defensive line um, against their offensive line. That offensive line was a wreck at the beginning of the season. Obviously, the Seattle Seahawks believed in that. They wouldn't have made that trade for Dwayne Brown, who was dealing with ankle. And I believe Matt Tobin is Dwayne Brown is a game time decision. But I get so excited because the idea of Matt Tobin playing left tackle versus our defensive ends, that's a win all day. You look across the line, you have Ethan Posick, a guy from LSU. He was one of their solid pickups in the draft, but he's a rookie. He's going up against the likes of Fletcher Cox and a Jernigan. So again, that is a win there. They have Justin Britt at center, Ode Ibushi at right guard, and Jermaine Ifedi, another guy who's you know he's just a guy. So across the front, that's amazing. And I had out a tweet earlier yesterday about the different weapons that Carson Wentz had in 2016 versus 2017. I mean, we had three guys that are out of football, and Ryan Matthews, Dorial Green Beckham, Paul Turner, Bryce Treggs is now with the Browns. Uh, J. Matt is struggling with the Bills. Nelson Aguilar was a shell of himself last season. You fast forward this year, you have a phenomenal running game and the three-headed monster with Ajayi, LeGarrette Blount, Clement, and you have Barner was actually on the last year's squad, and we brought him back this year. And then we have Alshon Jeffrey. Who else? We have Mac Hollins. We have Torrey Smith and the new Nelson Aguilar.
The
So
new Nelson Aguilar.
a lot of weapons at Carson Wentz's disposal. How do you feel
Zach
about?
Ertz, Trey
Yeah,
Burton. I mean, the list goes on. I relate that sort of like to fantasy football with the Patriots. It's almost like when the season rolls around for fantasy football, you can draft Tom Brady, you can draft Gronk, but don't draft anyone else because they share the love too much. They got too many weapons.
right.
And the Eagles, you can start Wentz every week, you can start Zach Ertz every week, but you don't know if you should start Jeffrey or Torrey Smith, Nelson Aguilar, Jay Ajayi, LeGarrette Blount, because you just know how much they spread it around. I mean, first game against the Broncos with Ajayi, Clement had more touches
Right,
than
right.
Ajayi and Blount, and they spread. And I think that that's a testament to how good this offense is, just because they have so many different weapons.
This has been my motto about this Eagles offense, like all season. Everybody eats. Everybody eats in this offense, and I think that's the beautiful thing. You can't key on certain guys. I mean, you can key on them, but there's always someone that can, especially with the way this offense is run. I think it's pick your poison. So I'm feeling great. You have a prediction score on this game?
I think the Eagles win probably 27-17, something
Okay.
like that. Um, Another thing I want to add after having talked about all this and our last meeting about the pass defense, how it was probably the most concerning
Mm-hmm.
position group. If the Eagles were to lose, this would be their problem was the pass defense. Since week 8, the Eagles pass defense has not been the best unit in the NFC East, not in the NFC, but in the whole league. The pass defense.
Wow.
Since week 8 has been the best unit in the NFL. Lowest completion percentage, lowest yards per pass, lowest passer rating, lowest big plays. They've only given up 2, which I'm assuming is 20-plus yards.
Wow. It's crazy. So obviously they are making you proud.
So
they read your article.
They read it. They read it. They've stepped up.
Yeah.
And that weakness is no longer a weakness. I think it's fair to say that the Eagles have no true weakness.
I mean, that's, you can say that with your chest, and that feels. I said that on our podcast. Last week? I said you can go across this whole offense, defense, and try and pick out. Tell me your weakness. Tell me who's the weak spot. You know, I mean, it's really they got talent all over this football team, and I have them dropping a 30 burger up in Seattle.
I could see that. I
think it's just another. They just, on paper, they match up really well. This is the team that lost to the Redskins. They lost to the Falcons. I feel like we're better than both of those teams. So I think that's all we got for today. That's Braxton Howard. You can find him on Twitter at Brackshot. That's BRAQ shot. I'm Gayle Saunders. You can find me at Eagle Sessions on Twitter. Anything else you got for me?
Nope, that's all.
All right, man. Go Birds.
Go Birds.